Apply online at www.northeastdiva.com or visit us at News Live Building, Mahapurush Sri Manta Shankar Dev Path, Christian Basti, Guwahati 5. For more information, contact 6900 142271.
Tonight at 8:30 p.m. Manipur Peace Battle in Point of View with Wasbir Hussain. On the show, Khuraija Mathoba, Convener Kokomi, Janghaulan Haukip, Information and Publicity Secretary, Kuki Inpi Manipur, Puyam Rakesh, Consultative Member, FOCS, Dhiren Sadokpam, Editor-in-Chief, Frontier Manipur, Wumsuan Naulak, President, Zomi Council. Tonight at 8:30 p.m. Point of View with Wasbir Hussain. Repeat at 10:30 p.m.
Accurate, credible,
responsible,
no sensationalism,
stories that matter.
your station, your voice.
Welcome to the special show, Dr. Kalam.
Thank you, Wasbir.
Welcome to this show.
Thank you. How has the world changed?
There's quite a bit of change.
The one and only Sadhguru.
I was not a child prodigy.
Ustad Zakir Hussain Saab, welcome.
Thank you.
Jinat Manji, welcome.
I was
Good evening, viewers. Welcome to Point of View, a brand new show that decodes the region and beyond. I am Wasbir Hussain. Manipur continues to be in the news for more than 2 years after a violent ethnic clash broke out between the majority Meiteis and Kukis that has left at least 250 people dead and 57,000 homeless. The news now is that prominent civil society groups representing the two sides, that is the Meiteis and the Kukis, are talking with the Ministry of Home Affairs to try and bridge the trust deficit and prepare a roadmap for restoration of peace in the frontier state. But it is left to be seen how soon the three sides, that is the Kukis, the Meiteis and the Government of India, can sit together and trace out a mechanism to restore normalcy. The news is also that the 57,000 internally displaced people are getting restless and want to return to their original homes. Manipur is under President's rule, and therefore Governor Ajay Kumar Bhalla has assured that the relief camps would be shut down by December this year. But let me now bring you a big breaking story on this show, Point of View. The breaking story is that the next round of talks between the MHA and the CSOs from Manipur will take place in New Delhi next week. First, the MSA has invited the three Kuki Jo CSOs, which include the Kuki Zo Council, the Kuki Inpi and the Jomi Council. After this, the MHA will have another round of talks either in Imphal or in New Delhi with the Kokomi, FOCS and Amuko, the three top civil society organizations in the Imphal Valley. This will be the fifth round of talks between the Manipur CSOs and the MHA after President's rule was imposed in the state on the 13th of February. The MHA is also continuing with its talks with the SOO groups from the hills. Meanwhile, the big issue now is the rehabilitation of IDPs, and the question is whether the Meiteis who have been displaced from hill areas like Churachandpur will be able to return to their homes there, and whether the Kukis displaced from Imphal and other parts of the valley would be able to come back home. So far, there seems to be no clarity on the rehabilitation process, and unless the two communities comes up with open arms to welcome the displaced people back, a return to their original homes may still remain uncertain. Meanwhile, demands have been made to install a popular government in Manipur, and the MLAs too are working towards that end. However, groups like the Kuki Inpi Manipur have issued a diktat asking all 10 Kuki Zo MLAs not to take part in the formation of the popular government. To discuss all of these and more about peace in Manipur, I am joined by Mr. Khuraizam Athoba, convener of the Kokomi. I have Janghaolin Haukip, Information and Publicity Secretary of the Kuki Inpi. I have with me Mr. Puyam Rakesh, consultative member of the FOCS. I have Mr. Dhiren Sadokpam, editor-in-chief of the Frontier Manipur, and I have with me a very senior leader of the Zomi Council, Mr. Vamswan Naulak, who is the chairman of the Zomi Council. Gentlemen, welcome to Point of View. Let me first go to Mr. Khuraizam Athoba. Mr. Athoba, talks are going on with the MHA. Obviously, I have been talking to officials. They are saying that the talks that are going on now is to restore normalcy in Manipur, to see whether the IDPs, how best can the IDP issue be addressed, how to bring about normality, how to bring about movement along the highway, how to bring about good health care and education for the children. These are some of the temporary steps that Manipur needs to be addressed first before major issues like the demands from both sides can be addressed, which can of course be addressed in structured dialogue between the respective sides. Mr. Khuraizam Athoba, are you optimistic, because already 4 rounds of talks have been held and there will be another round very soon?
Yes, Wasbir. As far as our engagement with the Government of India is concerned, we have been quite making some good progress in understanding the nature of crisis that we have been facing over the past couple of years. And we have also identified some of the key concerns which requires immediate, immediate solutions. Because we, being a civil society organizations representing the state of Manipur, our prime concern is the problems and issues and grievances faced by the civilian population across the length and breadth of the state. Therefore, we are urgently urging the Government of India to guarantees the constitutional obligations and the fundamental rights of the citizens of the country, which has been suspended or being disrupted for quite long time. So we want the Government of India to be little more aggressive in trying to resolve this crisis.
Right.
However, we want to make an appeal that every community or groups or organization might have their own agenda to pursue, with the Government of India to achieve or to make any demands. However, any form of demands or concerns should not be at such a level that you hold hostages of the entire population of the state to pursue your demand.
Right.
So that kind of things needs to be hold back.
Okay, we will continue the discussion. Let me now let me give a perspective from the hills. Let me go to Mr. Janghaolin Haukip, the Information and Publicity Secretary of the Kuki Inpi, the apex body of the Kukis Zo community. Now, Mr. Haukip, these talks that you are continuing with the government of India, already 4 rounds have been completed, and another round you are going to go to New Delhi next week. That's what our sources in the MHA have told us. Now, what is your expectation from these talks and from the previous talks? Do you think that some grounds have been covered? Do you think you are making some progress?
Thank you, Wasbir, once again for having me on the show. Before I go into that question, can I first go into our topic today, which is peace battle. So I want you to give me a minute, only a minute. I want to thank you and your team for providing an invaluable platform to deliberate and discuss and explore ways to restore peace to the people who have been robbed of it for more than 2 years now. So peace has been a question for quite some time now. The amount of suffering that people have to go through every day is extreme and intense, even terrifying to the point where you listen to their stories and see their living conditions, especially if you go and visit the relief camps. So I think that it is such a shame for the government of India and the rest of the country to allow such brutality against humanity to persist for more than 2 years now. Having said that, I want to point it out very clearly that the Cookies Row people, we are a peace-loving community. And that is why, like you have just mentioned, we have been engaging in constant talks with the government of India. We are trying to explore ways where we can deliver peace and justice to the people. So we have been doing that. And in the same manner, we have been cooperative to the government of India that anytime we're invited, there's no other time that we're saying, no, we will not come to your talks, your dialogue, we don't want that. There's nothing that we're saying. So we want peace, and that is why we are cooperating with the government of India. And having said that, I want to make it very clear, something equally important, which means peace requires understanding the dynamics of the ethnic crisis that we are having now, that is prevailing now in Manipur. So what is the root of the conflict? Who perpetrated it? And how can we right these wrongs that we have made, we have committed? These are questions because undeniable, because we cannot come to a practical conclusion if the perpetrators do not own up to their brutality.
Okay, we will expand and elaborate on some of these opening remarks. I'm just taking a set of opening remarks from my esteemed panelists tonight. Let me go to Mr. Puyam Rakesh, consultative member of the FOCS. FOCS has also been attending this stuff. Okay, we are trying to get Mr. Puyam Rakesh. Let me go to Mr. Vumswan Naulak before coming to Mr. Dhiren Sadokpam. Mr. Vumswan Naulak is the chairman of the Zomi Council, who has also been attending these talks. Mr. Naulak, what is your view? Because now we are seeing, okay, that signal has dropped. Let me ask this same question to Mr. Dhiren Sadokpam. Dhiren Sadokpam, 33 people have lost their lives in the relief camps in the Imphal Valley so far. Now, there are several reasons for that. Lack of proper medical care, lack of finances, huge mental health issues. This is a serious problem. I don't have any figure of any number of deaths, if any, in the Kuki side, in the relief camps. I will request Mr. Haukip to give me little later. But Mr. Sadokpam, this is a serious humanitarian crisis that Manipur is witnessing now. Let's forget about the violence and the demands, but right now in the rehabilitation camps, in the relief camps, it's a serious humanitarian crisis.
First of all, thank you, Wasbir, for having me once again here in the show. I think you're absolutely right. The crisis has gone beyond imagination, actually. In the last more than 2 years now, it all began with the violence. Now the crisis has gone deeper into the realm of so-called the IDPs, internally displaced persons. But how have such kind of a humanitarian crisis has been created? I think all of us, we know. We know in a sense, we have to acknowledge the fact there has been some kind of a irreconcilable kind of a conflict that has happened, and gradually also those leading leaders of CSOs of both the groups have realized that there is need for actually hammering it out. In a sense, there's some kind of a settlement, some kind of a reconciliation has to be made. There is a peace requisite, and perhaps because of that, I think we have aptly titled it as a peace battle. And I think at certain level, I think the willingness of the CSOs, both the valley-based CSOs as well as the Kukizo community CSOs, very well indicates that all of them are at certain level willing for some sort of a solution. But a solution, before thinking of a solution, I think I'm not very sure if the government of India is really serious. There has been invitations from the MHA, Ministry of Home Affairs, groups from the Kukizo community as well as groups based in Imphal Valley. There have been invitations, but I do not see a concrete peace plan, a comprehensive peace plan that actually, lays the groundwork for actually bringing peace. And forget, and if you do not have the peace that it is, which is required, the trouble is going to be even more heightened at certain level. You have already stated that the conditions of the IDPs are at a worse phase as of now, and there have been people who have even died. And there's been, and I'm not talking
Right.
about IDPs at the valley level. I mean, I'm talking
Right.
about IDPs everywhere. Okay, particularly in Manipur, and hence I think there has to be a kind of a comprehensive peace plan that is laid bare and is very clear to the public. But sometimes the negotiations between the
Comprehensive-
MHO and the thing
yes.
are not as clear as it ought to be.
Absolutely. Dhiren is talking about a very important point. He is insisting on a comprehensive peace plan. I think we have with us now Mr. Puyam Rakesh. Mr. Puyam Rakesh is the consultative member of the FOCS. Mr. Puyam Rakesh, FOCS has also attended rounds of negotiations, rounds of talks with the MHA. Now, I want your specific comment. Now, as we were discussing short while ago, there are two big issues. One is, the talks that has to result into something, and second, the restlessness among the IDPs. Now, my point is, the governor has said that by December, the relief camps will be shut down. Now, what does it mean? Whether the IDPs will go back to their original homes, or whether the IDPs will be settled somewhere in prefabricated houses, the valley people will be rehabilitated in the valley, and the hill people will be rehabilitated in the hills. But if that is so, then how is the divide going to be bridged between the two communities?
Okay, thank you, sir. To respond to your question regarding the rehabilitation and resettlement of the IDPs, of course, there's as of now, as per the reports from the officials, the IDPs will be rehabilitated in 3 phases, starting from July, and it will be completed by December of this year. Hello.
Okay, we are having a poor audio. We are having a poor audio with Puyam Rakesh. Can we fix? We will fix. I'll come back to you, Mr. Puyam Rakesh. There is a lot of echo in your audio. Let me take this question to. I don't know whether Mr. Vumswan Naulak is with me. Okay, let me take this question to Mr. Khuraiza Mathoba before coming to Mr. Janghaulun Haukip. Mr. Khuraiza Mathoba, the same question that I was asking Mr. Puyam Rakesh. Now, Puyam Rakesh. Now, the point is, if the governor is saying that the the relief camps will be shut down by December. Now, what are we going to do with the IDPs? Are we going to settle them in prefabricated houses? Is that rehabilitation? Are we talking about, or are we talking about really resettling them in their original homes? What do you think?
No, as per our last meeting with the governor and the top administrators after we returned from the MHA meeting in New Delhi, we were told that this the relief camps, after shutting down, they are planning to shift to fabricated houses, prefabricated house in units, because right now the way the IDPs are living in the relief camps is not very convenient. So they are trying to allot certain rooms with little privacy. That's the plan, and that's temporary. It's not going to be permanent, and there isn't any plan of shifting populations from one place to another. Each and every displaced people has to return to their respective homes and villages.
Khuraizam,
that's what
that is Khuraizam, sorry to interrupt. It's a very important point that you have made. Very, very important point that you are making on my show tonight, Mr. Khuraizam Athoba. You are saying that ultimately, the aim of everybody will be to send the displaced people to their respective homes. The Métis, you are saying, by which I understand that the Métis who have been displaced from the hills will go back to their original homes at some point of time in the hills, and those Kuki people, Kuki Zo community people who have been displaced from their homes in Imphal and the Imphal Valley will have to come back to their original homes. Is that what you are talking? And how is it possible?
Yes.
Because unless the communities themselves welcome them with open arms.
No, Wasbir, from our end, we have already opened the entire state. We have no issue in this free movement, initiatives by the government, and for us it's now an open this thing. There isn't any hostile elements left in the valley. There isn't any sense of a kind of this enmity, and there is also there isn't any aggression movement as per our knowledge. So
Now,
I think
as I'm asking Mr. Haukip also, but last point in this question, Mr. Athoba, as the leader of Kokomi, a very important and respected civil society organization in Manipur, are you saying that you are ready to welcome people from the Kukijo community in open arms if they visit Imphal Valley, whether for medical treatment, whether for traveling by air, whether for any other reason?
it's already open. When we were pursuing for free movement, it means both ways. It's not one way, Wasbir. We are not asking for, getting access only for the highways. Free movement means movement for each and every one of us.
Right. Let me ask the same question to Mr. Janghaulun Haukip, leader of the Kuki INP, Information and Publicity Secretary. Mr. Haukip, you have heard Mr. Khuraizam Athoba when he's saying that they are asking for free movement. They have no problem if the Kukizo community come to Imphal or any other place in the Imphal Valley for any purpose, whether it is to go somewhere through the airport or for medical purposes, for education. Now, what is the situation on your side? Are you willing to have free movement, because the Kuki-Jo communities or some groups at least were opposing this free movement? Has your position changed? What would you like to say?
Of course, we have allowed for free movement of goods and essential commodities, even at the conditions of prevailing conditions of war that is prevailing in Manipur now. But for now, regarding IDPs returning home, the fundamental questions lies where do they return to? What do they eat? How do they even survive when all their homes have been destroyed or their systems of livelihood have been all taken away from them? So where do they return to? That should be a question that we should be asking as of now. So we are looking out to where returning or resettling displaced people. But where do they go to when their homes have already taken away from them? And now, as for Mr. Athoba speaking of welcoming the Kukis to Imphal for treatment or other purposes, I think it's quite ironic, because it feels like the Kukis can be killed at any time or can be taken welcome at any time. But that is not acceptable to our people, because
let us be clear, Mr. Haukip.
We have been let of our homes.
Can we speak on point of view tonight on this show tonight, Mr. Janghaulun Haukip? We are trying to bring across different points of view. That is why my show is named Points of View. Everybody is entitled to their own points of view. That is what we feel in Northeast Live. But my question is very simple. You have said that you will allow free movement of goods and commodities. But what about free movement of people? Because the leader of the Kokomi has said that there is no problem, that any Kukizo community member can come to the Imphal Valley. Do you think the time situation is still not congenial? Are you saying that?
Sorry, you're not quite audible to me. I don't know what's the problem.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah. Mr. Khuraiza Mathoba has said that the people have no problem in the Imphal Valley if any Kukijo people come there for any reason, and they are welcome. What is your stand? Why are you saying that only goods and essential commodities? You are not talking about people. Do you think people from the Imphal Valley, do you think they still cannot or will not be welcomed in the hills? Are you saying that?
Let us get back to the point where I was talking about being chased out, forced out of our homes. And now look at the situation that is prevailing. And it is Imphal is now for the Kukis a place where we have been chased out, forced out of our homes. It is always easy for the perpetrator to talk about peace, but for us, it is for the perpetrator when they talk about peace. If they stop the violence, it is not there. It is fine. But look at the victims. We are always concerned about the safety and security, right? So if that is not there, if the state could have protected us, how could on May 3 itself, a lot of our people have died, a lot of our people have been stripped naked, a lot of our people raped. So I think words doesn't mean all the things.
Okay, I have not got a clear answer from Mr. Jangaulun Haukip. Let me go to is Mr. Bhumswan Naulak there? Mr. Bhumswan Naulak, chairman of the Jomi Council, we had lost him earlier. Mr. Naulak, welcome to this live broadcast. Now the question is, there is talks going on between the MHA and the civil society groups. The first priority of these talks is to restore some kind of a trust between the two sides. I think once again the signal is dropped. Let me take this question. Let me take this question once again to Mr. Puyum Rakesh, consultative member of FOCS. His audio was bad last time. I hope his audio is good now. Mr. Rakesh, you know, these rounds of talks that we have seen between the civil society and the MHA is to bring about a trust between the two sides, remove the trust deficit, because the demands are a separate thing. The Kukis have demanded put some political demands. The Meiteis have also been talking about some of their rights, etc., like scheduled tribes and so on and so forth. Those things are there. But the basic purpose of last four rounds of talks is to remove the differences and see whether the two sides can, coexist and visit each other's places like before, and the disruption in communication is removed. Now, do you think you have achieved success in that front? Because the Mr. Haukip of the Kuki INPI is saying that they are allowing free movement of goods, but they are not talking about people.
Hello. Can I audible to you, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you. Carry on.
Hello. Sir, to respond to the, I would like to highlight some of the key points, regarding the position, the stance taken by the Kukizo community leaders so far. And it is very unfortunate to say so because despite having rounds of discussion, with MSA holding rounds of talks with the Kukizo leaders, including the Show armed groups, and also holding,
I think we can't make out anything. Can you take him on the phone? Okay. Now, this same thing, Mr. Khuraiza Mathoba, I mean, unless the trust deficit is removed, other things cannot proceed, isn't it? Do you agree with that?
Wasbir, there is no issue of trust deficit. What concern is the political agenda which is driving this crisis for so long. As I stated in my first remarks, that you cannot hold hostages for the entire population for the sake of some political demands. Whatever demands you want to make, you can go and pursue with the government. But holding hostages for the civilian population, innocent civilian population for so long, this will have consequences. So we don't want to go back to all those who started how and where. If we go back to that standard of argument again, there won't be any positive progress.
Right. That is the reason.
So that doesn't make any sense at all.
Yes, Khuraizam, that is one of the reasons why during my discussion today I have not gone back into the 3rd of May 2023. I have not gone into that because there will be no end to this debate. Let me go to Mr. Naulak. Mr. Naulak, can you hear me first of all?
Yes, I hear you.
Yeah, Mr. Naulak, are you happy with the peace talks with the MHA, and what purpose is this peace talks going to serve according to you?
I am happy because the talk could be started at all. So the talk will first of all centralize on reaching some kind of ceasefire between the warring tribal group and the Imphal Valley people. So this ceasefire has to come first, and after the ceasefire we have to work out the modalities on which we could broker peace. And for that, dialogue is required, and the process of talks that we are holding now is going to be a very important foundation for the future.
Yeah, but Mr. Naulak, you are using the word ceasefire. So what do you mean? Because ceasefire, generally we use the word when the clash is going on only between two armed groups, but here the clash is going on between armed groups as well as between civilians also.
In Manipur, the dividing line between armed groups and civilians is very thin. Armed groups are residing among the civilians, and many of the civilians are armed group. And in Imphal Valley particularly, we are having as many as 7 secessionist groups who are fighting for sovereignty by using arms and ammunition. So the dividing line is very thin between armed groups and civilians in Manipur.
Yeah.
It's unlike the other states.
That's a very sensitive statement that you have made, interesting statement and sensitive too. The dividing line between armed groups and civilians in Manipur, according to Mr. Vamswan Naulak, is very thin. But one thing, Mr. Naulak, before I lose the connection with you, Mr. Naulak, now do you think that there is a necessity now to separate the political demands and the dialogue to restore immediate normalcy and remove the trust deficit? Do you think these two things should be dealt with separately?
There is trust deficit. In terms of development, there is trust deficit. The hill tribes, they had been left out while facing this kind of attack from Imphal Valley in the last 2 years. And all kinds of employment available in the government are distributed between the Nagas and Imphal Valley people. So that is one aspect which need no peace agreement, but this should have been corrected by administrative action. That is one. Another one is everybody is saying that airport is open, but the road between my hometown Labka and Imphal is known to our people as the Valley of Death, because even security forces were pulled out from security forces vehicle and they were being attacked in Bishnupur district. So we are talking about opening up of the road, opening up of airport. It might have been literally open, but no one is daring to use those openings.
Right.
Because there is trust deficit there. So before reaching to the political issues, this kind of confidence building measure need be CBM confidence building measure need be initiated.
Right, that's a very important point that Mr. Naulak, the chairman of the Jomi Council, has made, that yes, there is trust deficit. No one can deny that there is trust deficit between the two communities, and confidence building measures are important before any structured political dialogue to talk about the demands of both the sides can be initiated. I'll go for a very short break. When I come back, I will also discuss with my panelist the growing demand for the restoration of a so-called popular government in the state. Don't go away. I'll be right back after this very, very short break.
Double 0142271.
A part of illustrious Manipal Group, Sikkim Manipal Institute of Technology, with a pan-India student diversity, provides world-class facility and infrastructure for a holistic growth. With NEP-aligned multidisciplinary research degree, we at SMIT are inspired by life.
ITC Nemail Mozia কৰি তোলে নিৰাপদ শিশু আৰু পেটছৰ বাবে কাৰণ মজিয়াতে পাৰ হয় লৰালিকাল হে ইয়াত কেমিকেল ৰেচিডিউৰ বাবে কোনো ঠাই নাই
Accurate. Credible.
Responsible.
No sensationalism.
Stories that matter.
All right, Mr. Athoba, you know, we have made some movement. There has been some movement because all the top civil society organizations of Manipur, whether it is from the valley or whether it is from the hills, are now engaged in talks with the MHA. Well, they have not been sitting together and talking so far, but that is a different issue. We will expect that this happens sooner than later, but right now separately at least they are talking. My question to you, Mr. Khuraizam Athoba, is that in the middle of all this, there is a demand even from certain organizations in the valley as well as the political leaders of the MLAs from the valley for restoration of a popular government, because that can be done because the assembly is only in animated suspension. But even as we are seeing some talks going on, the Kuki INP has issued a diktat to all the 10 Kuki Jo MLAs not to participate in any effort, any initiative to form the popular government. Now, will this popular government be able to bring about any change? Because there was a popular government only until February.
Wasbir, whether we liked it or not, in democracy, popular government is essential. If you don't have a popular elected government, you cannot run the state by an appointed authority. And we consider the kind of administration that we are having today is an alien administration who don't understand the socio-cultural and historical background of the state, who don't have that, attachment to the land and its people and its culture. That is why there are several incidents, like the recent incident of the Gwaltabi incident, where the name of the states being, asked to conceal while traveling in hill areas. Those were the decisions taken because the people in decision making are not the locals. They don't understand the value of the name of the state and the pride and honor that we have in the name of our state. So those are the issues that we are facing. And if we want to make any significant progress in terms of politics, it has to be through the elected government and and the House of the Assembly.
Understood. Mr. Athoba,
otherwise you cannot you cannot continue with this appointed authority.
Right.
Yeah.
I fully agree with what you were saying. I fully agree. I have no dispute with what you were saying. But from May 2023 to February 2025, which is almost 2 years, during the entire period of the violence, you had a government run by Mr. Biren Singh and his team. You had a popular government which the people of Manipur had elected, but they could not restore, they could not bring the situation under control. The people were not listening to them. They could not stop the killings. They could not stop the displacement of the people. And after everything was destroyed, they also could not remove the trust deficit between the two sides until the central government stepped in. So the popular government really, the general perception is that they failed in their duty, and people were angry with them for having failed in their duty that time also.
If you listen to the comments and opinions back here in the state, everyone is saying that we are having a failed president rules. People were expecting a lot from this president's rules, but it hasn't done anything significant, And if we go back to that time of
is the audio okay?
Crisis, where the state government couldn't do much, we also need another debate, 1 hour long debate, because at that time there was a conflict of interest between the central government and the state government. The conflict of interest, and because of that conflict of interest between these two government, between the state and the center, so many unusual things were taking place. The central forces, the Assam Rifles were being accused of so many things.
Right.
So all these things needs to be looked into.
Okay.
So it's not because of the incompetency of the government at that time. It was because of the conflict of interest between the central government and the state government.
Right. I will like to know slightly later. I would like to know from Mr. Athoba what is his expectation from the present governor. Now let me go to Mr. Haukip. Mr. Jangaulun Haukip, Mr. Athoba is saying that this is a failed president's rule. Now what is the cookie perception? What is the cookie zoo perception? Do you think, why did you issue the diktat? Why have you prevented your elected MLAs? After all, their MLAs, they have not resigned from their MLA-ship. They still continue to enjoy the benefits, the state parks and salaries and all by being MLAs. How can you prevent them from taking part in a popular government? They may not take part on their own. That's a different matter. But here, the cookie INP is issuing a direction to them not to take part in any effort to form a popular government. How do you explain this?
A popular government is a democratic principle, and it is very much essential and necessary for a democratic country like ours. But if you look at the beginning of the violence and how it has continued for so long now, of course we want a government, but we want a government that will not oppress or target us. We want a government of our own. And that is why we have issued the so-called diktat for our Kukizo MLS not to participate in the formation of a popular government. Otherwise, why would we support the restoration of a system that has systematically marginalized and targeted us?
No, that's true. But Mr. Haukip, you talk about democracy, and again you issue a diktat. Don't you think that your diktat itself is undemocratic? Why don't you allow the 10 elected representatives to exercise their own discretion and decide for themselves, because they are the people's representatives. They are elected, whereas you are not elected by the people.
I think you have a misunderstanding of the way our organization works. Of course, very much Kuki NP is a traditional government of the Kuki people. It is very much elected by the people. From top to bottom down, it is elected by the people. And the government, on the other hand, representative, are elected by the people. So the civil society organizations have every right and legitimacy to issue such diktat on the interest of the people that we represent, because we represent the same kind of people. So we are in constant touch with the people, and we are only saying what the people wants. So we will not participate in a government or in a system that has systematically targeted us, marginalized us, or oppressed us, because we know that the state is complicit in the ongoing ethnic crisis against our people.
Okay.
Otherwise, how would it be possible for the armed triangle and all other organizations? On May 3 itself, you know what is happening there. It was a manhunt, a literal manhunt happening in Imphal on May 3 2023. So how would that happen without the complicity of the state government?
Right.
And that is why we are refusing to take part in the restoration of a government that has oppressed us, that has marginalized us.
Okay, Mr. Haukip, I correct myself. I take your point on the Kuki NP also being elected. Now my question is, now Kuki NP, you don't sit in the Legislative Assembly. It is the 10 elected MLAs who sit in the Legislative Assembly. Now in the last 2 years, can you say frankly whether the Hill people have, don't you think the Hill people have been disadvantaged because their voices have not been raised in the Manipur Legislative Assembly for more than 2 years now?
Am I still audible?
Yes. Yes.
All right. We have taken that step to express our dissent against the Manipur state government. It is fine as long as it is a government of our own people that is set up by our own people. But if there is a government where we don't have any voice, where we don't have any say in that, we don't need to participate in that kind of government. And that is why we have issued that information and that request or intimation to Kuki Zo MLS not to participate in the popular government of any sort.
Right. Puyam Rakesh, I will go to Mr. Naulak also and Dhiren Sadokpam as well. Mr. Puyam Rakesh, now you see the Kuki NP has asked its MLAs not to participate in any formation of a popular government. Now, don't you think the Kuki NP in that case, but they have not, Kuki NP has not asked their MLAs to resign. None of the Kuki organizations have asked their MLAs to resign, but they are asking them not to participate in any effort at government formation.
Can you hear me? Am I audible now, sir?
Yes.
To respond to that question, let me highlight some few points. The uncooperative stance and the position of resistance taken by the Kuki-Zo leadership so far. The first thing is, when the president rule was imposed in the state, the governor Ajay Kumar Bala issued an order on 20th of February to surrender the illegally possessed arms voluntarily. And the response from the Kuki-Mizo side was, not positive. And next is the Union Minister Amit Shah's instruction to open the highways for free movement of people and goods. And an attempt was made on 8th of March this year, but it was also resisted by the Kuki-Zo people. And then, at the end of the first intercommunity dialogue held on 5th of April this year, there was a proposal from the MISA, a 6-point, proposal for a joint appeal. But at the end of the meeting, that was, that could not be signed because of the reluctance shown by the Kuki-Zo leaders. And again, coming to, the 16 May meeting held in Guwahati, which includes, the 10 Kuki MLAs, the CSOs and the Sioux armed groups. They had taken a position of not talking to the central government or its representatives before resuming substantive political dialogue with the Sioux armed groups. And this kind of positions has been continue further by the, the resolution taken by the Kuki NP Manipur and also by the Zomi Council. So this position of uncooperative stance and the position of resistance is not helping in restoring peace and normalcy in the state. So there has to be a sense in their position if we are seriously talking about resolving the crisis and to bring peace and normalcy in the state. Thank you, sir.
Okay, let me take before going to Mr. Naulak, let me take a quick neutral view from Mr. Dhiren Sadokpam, Editor-in-Chief of the Frontier Manipur. Dhiren, do you think, do you really get a sense that things are progressing? Do you think that, there are still very rigid positions, the people are maintaining very rigid positions still?
Wasbir, I think there is a sense that we can get that people are still resorting, particularly all the warring groups are still resorting to some kind of a rigid thing. But primarily, if you literally look into, do a textual analysis of what actually, happened to the memorandum submitted by both Kokomi, Fox, as well as Amuko, I think they have spelled out in a very clear terms that, in the second part of the, the appeal or kind of issue raised by the delegation that comprised of these three groups had already mentioned that, a phased and time-bound plan for resettlement of IDPs to the original places of habitation, which we discussed earlier. But what I'm trying to say is there are specific addressing of issues, there is one aspect of it. And secondly, I think if you literally look into the kind of statements that has come from the valley-based groups, when to be very specific, Kokomi, Fox, as well as Amuko together, I don't see there are, you can see some kind of a, urgency to,
urgency to reconcile, urgency to reconcile.
Urgency to not necessarily reconcile, but at least bring peace, Hence, if the government India, for me, I do not blame the Kukizo groups or the so-called valley groups or anybody else, but there should be a kind of a comprehensive plan that is being understood, that is acceptable to all, okay? And under such kind of a plan, things can be worked out in a very smooth way.
Right.
Having said this, I think I would want to also add, because you had already mentioned about restoration of a popular government. You know why? I think Athobe has more or less explained, but what he has explained also falls under the, kind of the big debate that exists in any political debates. You see, president's rules, is supposed to be operated in a state of exception. Okay, but
Right.
Manipur has been for time and for so many years we have operated under a state of exception that sometimes we have normalized this state of exception. Because if you literally
You have
look into
normalized,
the nature
normalized this. Even
normalized
the
state of
exception is
including
normalized.
president's rule. Because
Exception
in a
is
bigger
normalized.
democratic, kind of a convention, even president rule doesn't fall under the normal kind of a
Correct. Right.
situation.
Right.
That
Let
is why I think restoration of a popular government is absolutely right when Athoba says that. But I also can understand that a popular government do not necessarily also bring solution or try to engage itself in solving a kind of immediate solution.
Absolutely,
that lies in front of
absolutely,
you.
absolutely.
Okay, that is what also you have raised about.
I take
popular
your point.
government.
Yes.
But
Yes.
in the context of
Let
Manipur,
me,
you have
I'm
to
running.
very well-
Dhiren.
but please, in the context of Manipur, you have to note this fact that, see, since May 2023, if you see, most of the agenda in handling the crisis were handled by New Delhi. I've said it time and again,
Right.
there was a puppet kind of a chief ministership that is put in Manipur, why he couldn't do much about it, except for, whatever he does, it will be interpreted in terms of being
that is
one-sided.
a
But
different, that is a
see,
full-fledged
a security
debate.
advisor,
That is
yeah,
a full-fledged
security
debate
advisor
in
was not
itself.
not
That is a
appointed by the
full-fledged.
chief minister.
Dhiren,
It
hold
was
your
appointed
thoughts.
by the central
Hold your
government.
thoughts, Dhiren. That is a full-fledged debate. I take your point. Let me quickly bring in Mr. Vumswan Naulak. Mr. Naulak, I asked you a question. Whether it is really necessary now to separate the political demand and the immediate demands like dealing with the IDPs, restoration of communication, improvement in development work, healthcare, education, and livelihood options for the people who have suffered a lot. Do you think these two things needs to be separated? I am asking you once again very, very clear question.
Wasbir, these two issues should be separated. Idealistically, these should have been combined, but there is nothing idealistic in Manipur. So we have to go by the present circumstances, and under the present circumstances, the issue of IDPs and immediate needs and the final political solution has to be a two-prong issue, a two-prong matter that should be dealt separately.
Okay. Okay. Final comments from you, Mr. Haukip, and I will go to Mr. Khuraiza Mathoba. Mr. Jangaulun Haukip, now, are you positive at the end of the day or not? Are you prepared to separate your political demand from the immediate necessities of the ordinary people?
I think the solution to our political demand is an immediate necessity. Because even though we're talking about our peace or whatever it is, unfortunately, even as we are being asked to compromise and move on, there has been no acknowledgement of the violence committed against our people. No accountability. For example, it was Kokomi who openly declared war against our people. And since now we all want peace, why don't they take responsibility of the hundreds of people who have been killed, of our women stripped naked, torture, rape and murder? I mean, someone has to take responsibility there. Someone has to take accountability. Otherwise, every proposed policy for the restoration of normalcy would only mean vanity. On the contrary, I would like to state this fact that the Kuki and INPI envisions where all communities can coexist with dignity and equality. That fact, I want you to keep it. Not just you and all the viewers to keep it.
Okay.
And
finally,
just one more thing. We will only sit together with the Métis. We will only sit together with the Métis to sign an accord of total separation of the Valley and the Kuki Hills, because we want the kind of peace where all communities can live without fear. We want a separate administration to administer ourselves, whose problems, needs and wants are best known to us. We are not asking to administer over the Métis. We are asking only the right to administer our own selves, because we know our problem best. That doesn't create any kind of fear for the Métis.
Mr. Haukip, now the whole thing, what you have just said, that means you said that this round of talks which is going on between the MHA and the civil society groups, you are not going to sit together with any of the Métis civil society groups during these round of talks.
We will not be sitting together with anyone, because they are the one who have perpetrated the violence against us.
That I will take a comment. Right. Mr. Haukip has been very clear. This is the breaking story. I will take a comment from Mr. Athoba and Mr. Puyam Rakesh. Now, the big breaking story is that the Kuki INPI, the apex tribal body of the Kukis, have categorically told on my show Point of View tonight, that is the 8th of July, that they will not sit with the Métis civil society groups during these rounds of talks between the MHA and so on. They will only sit with the Métis groups when they have to sign an accord to achieve their political demand of a separate administration. That is the clear-cut statement, and that is the biggest story in so much clear terms. Now, I will take comments, and before I conclude, because I am absolutely running out of time, I have just got 2 minutes, hardly 2 minutes left. I will take comments from Mr. Athoba first, and then Mr. Rakesh, and then I will conclude. Mr. Athoba.
I'll just make three points.
Very quickly.
First point. When the Kuki INPI spokesperson is saying that Kokomi has declared war on Kuki community, he is trying to mislead again. They have been saying this. Actually, the declaration of war was on Chin Kuki narco terrorists, those who hold weapons to continue their narcotic business. that we can see, everyone can see the kind of opium poppy cultivation in the hill areas, the Kuki dominated hill areas, flooded with opium poppy cultivation, guarded by armed terrorist groups. Those were the people where we declared war upon, not to the civilian Kuki.
Point number 2.
So don't mislead, number 1. Number 2, Kuki in P keep changing their stand. Earlier, they already had a sitting with Amuko and Fox in New Delhi. Now today they are saying another thing. So let them keep changing their stance. That's not an issue. We have no issue with them. But in order to claim they are not, rightful enough to claim territories and separate administration in the state of Manipur, because originally they have been identified and known as people who have migrated from other parts of the country.
I am running short of time. Last point.
Last point. If people or groups or organizations keep pursuing their vested political agenda by holding hostages to civilian population, the government must rein in their rule of law. Anti-peace elements should be dealt with, iron hand.
Okay.
The rule of law must prevail.
Thank you.
So
thank you.
It is time now
Thank
for
you.
the
Mr.
government
Puyam
to
Rakesh,
rein in their rule of law.
Mr. Puyam Rakesh, I have got just 30 seconds left. I have to end this show. Your comment on what Mr. Haukip has said, that they will not sit with the Métis civil society and they will sit only to sign an accord for a separate administration. Very quickly.
Thank you, sir.
Puyam, very quickly.
Thank you, sir. This is a very unfortunate position. The hardening of the position on the parts of the Kukizo community leadership is not going to serve anyone. We are simply walking down the road towards mutual self-destruction, and this is not good. And we should end the culture of living under the dictates of the gun, and the Kukizo leadership should stop using victim card. As far as this crisis in Manipur is concerned, the Métis are also equally victims of the armed conflict and the terror tactics used by the Kuki armed groups. So let's stop using the victim card and focus on building the democratic space so that we can live in peace.
Stop playing the victim card and bring a democratic effort towards peace. I am absolutely run out of time. I thank all my panelists for participating in this discussion tonight, and the viewers for watching the show. Good night and goodbye.
Accurate, credible,
responsible,
no sensationalism,
stories that matter.
your station, your voice.
Brighties Entertainments Private Limited presents Northeast Diva 2025. New season, new beginning, fashion, glamour and empowerment. Beauty with the purpose. Be the next Northeast Diva. Apply online at www.northeastdiva.com or visit us at News Live Building, Mahapurush Srimanta